What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Sunrise Sports and MMA. We're going to be talking today about the new UFC deal, right? We have Paramount. I think by now everyone's already tired of this, but we have to just recap some of the big pros for us fans, the end of the pay-per-view era as we know it. And right now, this is going to start at the end of January. Definitely, it's going to be a big, massive revenue stream for the UFC, 1.1 billion annually, with potential to double revenue, according to some estimates. Obviously, for the fans, that means we're going to have a big savings compared to previous years. It's going to be about $1,000 in savings just by having your Paramount subscription. So that's a big plus for a lot of us. No pun intended. ESPN. RIP. I'm sure we're all going to miss the ESPN commercial app on the app, especially just looking at I think that's the UFC headquarters that we look at on those commercials. Nonetheless, this is going to be, from what I can see, 13 numbered events and 30 fight nights. So we're talking 43 weeks of MMA content from UFC throughout the year on Paramount. So not a big difference from other years. And one significant question amongst uh, those of us that are initiated is, will fighter pay go up? What are the bonuses going to look like? A lot of that it's still up in the air, which is surprising when you involve someone the size of Paramount and, of course, the conglomerate that is TKO uh, worldwide. So as we look at this right now, the deal apparently will expand into Latin America. I'm not sure if Paramount Plus does have a global stake, but it looks like they do. So that's going to be significant uh, for Paramount globally. I can see why they made the investment because, if I'm not mistaken, worldwide that is subject to whoever owns the rights. I think that ESPN did not have the rights in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. This was TNT Sports, for example. So it looks like they're consolidating all of that potential audio, or excuse me, that potential streaming. So a lot of people say that they overpaid. I don't see it that way. I think that Paramount will make their money back twofold. Of course, there's politics involved with the UFC. You know, Uncle Dana doesn't like to make fights after a few others, but I'm sure we're in for a treat in this upcoming new partnership, especially us hardcore fans. So now let's get into it. UFC 324, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like a tremendous card. We definitely have to have a conversation about this. This is going to be one for the gamblers and the casuals, as the MMA community likes to discuss. Right now, top of the card, Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett. We do know that recently it looks like Ilya Taporia is going to take a step back, and uh, it appears that what was the interim belt will actually be the championship fight, the lightweight UFC championship fight between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. Of course, we look at the tape. We're looking at Justin against Paddy. We're looking at 37 years senior for Justin, 30-year young or junior for Paddy. The height, 5'9" to 5'8". They're both obviously 55ers. And we're looking at Paddy with a slight reach advantage. One thing we know about Paddy is he is resilient, and so is Gaethje. This is going to be a banger, guys. Right? This is the one for the boys. Your fighter's favorite fighter versus Paddy, the baddie. Look, my take on this is I think Paddy has the age. Paddy has overall game. I think Patty's going to take this fight. I think he's going to try to run circles around Justin. And when I say that, I don't mean that he's going to just, jab him and step away, but I can definitely see him trying to impose his will. We know has good up kicks, and we know Justin has been taken out by that in the past. I could definitely see Patty getting a finish, and I have a lot of respect for Gagey. But the truth being that right now we're talking about a 37-year-old in the 55s. That's a tough one to crack. I don't see that happening. So that's my pick. Of course, the beautiful T-Mobile Arena is the venue. Next up, we have Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunez. Quite frankly, this is one for the ages for the women's bantamweight UFC undisputed championship of the world. Again, we're looking at 135ers. We're looking at Kayla Harrison, who's 35. We're looking at Amanda Nunez, 37. Height is identical, 5'7". Reach, slight advantage for Amanda Nunez, 69 inches, 3 inches on Harrison. Quite frankly, this is an interesting fight. Amanda's been out, I believe, 2 years now, and the question is, will she have that lioness um, skill set? Right? Will we see the lioness that beat up both Cyborg and most recently Pena? We have to wait and see. No doubt that this will be a banger. Will Kayla be able to impose her will? Will she be able to take Amanda down? Will she be able to connect Amanda? No doubt about this, that it's going to be a fight of opposite strengths and skills. And the question will be, will the grappler win, or will Amanda be able to get her on her feet? Uh, no doubt about Amanda Nunez's jiu-jitsu is far superior. I think most recently we saw Kayla lose when she was with the PFL, her only loss. Again, we're talking about a Kayla Harrison that, since joining the UFC, has not touched defeat and has actually run through the competition. One of the few PFL fighters that we've seen done that. Obviously, of note, Aspen Ladd. Oh, excuse me, that was the PFL. Submission, rear naked choke on Holly Holmes. Beat Ketlin Vieira by decision, and most recently submission via Kimura on Juliana Pena, and got her out of there in 2 rounds. So, very, very impressive what she's done. Obviously, Pena is the common denominator. Only loss was to Larissa Pacheco, as we know, back in 2022. And that would be fascinating if at some point Larissa joined the UFC. But we know that she lost most recently to Chris Cyborg via decision in Saudi Arabia with the PFL. Look, guys, boys, I don't know what we're dealing with here. This is a pick your poison. Both of them are up there in age. Both of them have defined odds. I'm gonna probably give it to Amanda Nunez. I'm concerned with the layoff, but Amanda, one thing that she does is that she's a competitor and she gets up for fights. Going to take a look at her most recent bouts, and we're talking last fight was against Irene Aldana back at UFC 289. We're talking June of 2023. 2.5 year layoff for the Lioness. I mean, prior to that, Juliana Pena at UFC 277, unanimous decision, but we know that that was a massive beatdown on Pena. So I'm taking the Lioness. I'm taking Amanda. I'm taking her by decision. Um, but I would not be surprised, of course, if Kayla were to somehow get her in some sort of hold submission. But we're talking about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out of American Top Team. I'm wondering if a man who's training at American Top Team, that's the question as well. And they already know who's who. So I think Amanda got this. I think Amanda had the better of the two in the gym. Again, I'm just speculating, but if you're Amanda and you were pieced up during training sessions, you wouldn't take this fight, right? You wouldn't try to get back in unless you knew you could win. So Amanda Nunez. Now for the bantamweights, for probably arguably one of the most entertaining fighters and popular, polarizing figures within the UFC, Sean O'Malley against Son Yadong. Definitely is going to has the makings of fight of the night. We're talking, 31 O'Malley to 28 on the Dong side. Yadong side, excuse me. 5'7" to 5'9". Sean O'Malley has the 2-inch height advantage and reach. Sean O'Malley, surprisingly, this guy's long. Pause. 72-inch reach advantage. Wow, that is substantial, especially in the bantamweight class. We're talking the 135s, people. That is insane. So we know of late what were the last couple of fights for O'Malley. But let's start off with Yadong. We're talking Henry Cejudo. He won by technical decision. Eye injury due to an accidental eye poke rendered Cejudo unable to continue. Most of us might be aware, but Cejudo was looking to try and get that one back. Unfortunately, could not. And obviously, we know what happened in Cejudo's last fight. Went out on his shield. Um, we're looking at Peter Yan previously for that, and we know Peter has been on an epic run to climb the mountain. Nothing but props for him. That was a unanimous decision loss. Oh, he fought Chris Gutierrez. Decision win. And Ricky Simon or Simone finished him by TKO. So, and prior to that, Corey Sandhagen, Dr. Stoppage, and Marlon Moraes, KO, performance of the night. I mean, for Christ's sake, Moraes was getting KO'd, but again, not trying to throw any strays out there. Um, yeah, no, this one, I'm thinking it's going to be Sean O'Malley, younger fighter. Sorry, the older fighter, but Sean's in his prime, in my opinion, has the reach advantage, is gonna, in my opinion, pick him apart. We're looking at some of the fights that Sean has had. Of course, we know the last two fights against the Machine, which he lost, one by unanimous decision, and obviously then by North-South choke, most recently at UFC 316. I'm rooting for Sean. I got Sean in this. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision. I think he's going to win soundly. So that's my pick. Let's take a look at the rest of the card. One interesting note is that Alexa Grasso should have been in there with Rose. That would have been, to me, epic. We're talking about two strikers, two great boxers, in my opinion, in the women's division, in the flyweight division, and that would have been a banger. But we're not getting that. Nonetheless, fourth fight on the card, we're looking at Waldo Cortez Acosta and Derek Lewis. I mean, I know I just said that we had potential fight of the night with Sean O'Malley and Sonya Don, but if I was a betting man, this is going to be a quick one. I think everyone's going to put money on this to end the first round. Um, I mean, where do you start with this, right? We're talking about Waldo Cortez Acosta that has just KO'd everyone in his vicinity, 34 years of age. He's 6'3", 260, 78 inch reach. Very similar tail of the tape for Derek. He's 46'2", so Waldo has 1 inch advantage there, and Derek has the 1 inch advantage with the reach. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm looking at Derek Lewis, and I'm wondering, does he still have it? Can he still get up? Again, if we look at his last fight, where he just KO'd Pallison Teixeira, uh, if I'm not mistaken, it was in 35 seconds. I mean, we're talking 16 knockouts, most in UFC history. I mean, this guy is the Barry Bonds without the performance advantage. And we know what we're talking about. Wink, wink, picograms. Um, I mean, we're talking uh, Taliesin, who prior to coming in contact with Derek Lewis was KOing everyone. Uh, Only had two fights in the UFC prior, Justin Tafa and Arthur Lopez, both either TKO or KO victories. And prior to that, in his other stops, just KOing everyone. So this guy, was no joke. But again, we're talking a 26-year-old who only had two fights in the UFC prior. Um, when we look at Waldo Cortez, we don't see a lot of fighters coming out of the Dominican Republic of late. And this guy undoubtedly is the best product fighter to come out of the DR. And I mean, we're talking one, two, three, four, five fights in the UFC in 2025. I mean, it's insane his output. Um, and he was on my radar as of his fight with Robelis Spain, the Cuban who's I think now most recently beat up Smiley guy, I forget his name, but yeah, I mean, decision. He has a ground game, people. He can take you down. He took Robles down and just, if I remember, just kept him on his ass the entire fight. Um, Had a, solid win over a former champion in Andre Arlovsky back in January of 2024 on a fight night. And then again, to me, one of the fighters of the year in terms of 2025. We're talking KO over Shamil, KO over Ante, KO over Sergey. Oh no, I take that back. KO over Ryan Spann. I mean, Ryan had nothing, no business in the heavyweights, in my opinion. And strong decisions against Sergey Pavlovich and Sergey Spivak. I mean, we're talking elite, fighters in the heavyweight division. So, and I love Derek Lewis, but I think Waldo's going to take it. I think this is going to be 2 minute round, 2 minute fight at most, and I think we can see Waldo taking the dub, in my humble opinion, by KO. But never count out H Town. Uh, and of course, the first fight of the main card, Arnold Allen versus John Silver. Jesus, did Uncle Dana come through for us? I mean, we know John Silva, we know his most recent fight. But let's start off with Arnold Allen. And before we do the tale of the tape, Arnold is 31, John Silva is 28. Um, 1 inch height advantage for Arnold at 5'7", 256, 145ers, as we know, and a 1 inch reach advantage for Arnold, which, I mean, I think we all know that. Just we know Silva's just a more stocky fighter. Um, as we look at this, we're talking Arnold Allen had a bounce back victory, tremendous fight against Giga Chikadze. We know that's not never an easy out. Lost to Mozart Iolovel, Mozart. He lost to Mozart, for Christ's sakes. And we know, in a lot of people's opinion, Mozart is the guy to be fighting for that belt. Why is he not fighting for this belt after tremendous victories over guys the likes of Dan Ige, Diego Lopez, Arnold Allen, and Aljamain Sterling? I mean, Dana, what does a guy have to do to get a title shot? Please give Mozart his shot. Prior to that, lost to Max Holloway again. And going back to Arnold, that is. Sorry about that segue, guys, but I mean, Jesus, Mozart has, you know, I don't know if he's injured. I got to take a look, but that's crazy for this guy not to be fighting for a belt. Lost to Max Holloway, tremendous fight. I think a lot of us remember that back in 2023. Um, not active for the rest of 2023, and then came back as again Mozart. Lost to Calvin, or win over Calvin Cater. That was a heartbreaker because Calvin suffered a knee injury. I think it was very similar to what we saw happen to our guy in the heavies, Aspinall, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong on that. KO Dan Hooker. Wow, that's tremendous in London. So yeah, I like this fight a lot. Let's just do a quick recap on John Silva. But I think we all know what we're getting with this guy. He's like the Tasmanian devil. He's 29 years of age. Actually just turned 29, so I thought he was 28. So we all know the most recent loss to Diego Lopez, a crazy KO spinning back elbow. We know the brass loves Diego Lopez. We know that Diego's like the guy that they're trying to position to succeed. Our good friend and our one of our favorite fighters of all time, um, Volkanovski. And prior to that loss, he great win over Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty, submission by Ninja Choke back down here in Miami earlier this year, and then KO over Milsek, punches and elbows. Stop Drew Dober, but again, these days, who doesn't? Um, Good KO win over Charles Jourdain. We love our Canadian friends, right? So, yeah, no, impressive wins on the docket for Jean, mostly finishes or being finished in the most recent 4 to 5 fights. So, again, we know what he brings to the table. My prediction on this is John Silva in round one KO. If not, I think Arnold can definitely take this to a decision win. Um, Obviously has a few more fights under his belt, but I think the fighting nerds need a win. I mean, Jesus, these guys, I think we're 12-0 for a couple of years, and then just all of a sudden just have been just going downhill, um, with the exception of Prates, as we know, and what he's been doing. So that's the main card, folks. Again, just to recap, I'm taking Patty, Amanda, Sean, Waldo, John Silva on the main card. In the prelims, I mean, we have to thank the gods, the MMA gods. I mean, look at the headline fight for the preliminary card. You're talking Thug Rose Namajunas against Natalia Silva. Again, I mentioned this earlier. It should have been Grasso. That would have been a banger again. Natalia Silva has been on the come up. She is a beaut, first and foremost. I know that's irrelevant for women fighting. Forgive me, I'm not a misogynist. I just, and she's a 150 favorite over Rose, which is interesting to me. I guess we're banking on the age, and we're banking that she's gonna win. Um, she's undefeated in the UFC. Notable wins: Jessica Andrade and Alexa Grasso. So she's beaten a former champion already, and I think that's what people are banking on. I I'm biased on this. I love Rose, but we know Rose is one of those hot and cold fighters. On a great night, she can just KO anybody, but on the same night, she could lose by decision, right? The Carla Esparza fight comes to mind. That was one of the most bizarre fights, uh, in my opinion, just because she was just dominant prior to that fight. I mean, She had beaten, if I'm not mistaken, Zhang Wei Li twice. Yep, I'm right. At UFC 268 and 261. Had beaten Jessica Andrade after Jessica Andrade, as some of us remember, slammed uh, Rose on her head. I mean, that was one of the most crazy things I've ever seen. And for her to come back and beat Andrade soundly. I know it was a split decision, but maybe again, maybe I'm biased. And then going through Zhang Weili twice, one head kicked, right? Headshot dead, right? To reference our good friend Leon. Um, and then to lose to Esparza is like she had no energy in that fight. I remember it vividly. And yet one lost by split. Then I lost to Mano Ferro, which was again also kind of odd in my opinion. Forgive me, guys. No shot at Mano Ferro, but I just, it was a flyweight bout. So, and then here we go. We have, wins over Amanda Ribas, Tracy Cortez, and then another loss to Aaron Blanchfield, and then a win over Miranda Maverick. I think the biggest question is Rose still in it? I think if she were to lose this fight, I could see her retiring. So, having said that, I'm going to take Rose Namajunas, but I'm not 100% confident on that pick. And then, guys, how about another former champion on the prelims? Davison Figueiredo against Umar Nurmagomedov. I mean, wow. Bantamweight, bantamweights, right? We know, I think Davison came up, so he's in the 135s now. Um, I mean, am I wrong in saying that this is a title fight eliminator? I mean, let me just look at Davison real quick. Montel Jackson split decision victory back in October. So the turnaround time for this guy is insane. But prior to that, Corey Sandhagen lost by TKO slash knee injury and a decision loss to Peter Yan, unanimous loss. But prior to that, had beaten Cody Garbrandt, Marlon Vera, and Ralph Font. I mean, Jesus. I mean, if Cody, you know, Cody out at the 300, if I remember correctly. That was a shame, right? Because Cody had a chin, maybe that would have been a better fight. But hey, nonetheless, no, I take that back. Not going to be a title eliminator, but it could propel Umar to be next, right? Because we know Umar definitely is in his prime. We know he beat Mario Batista, somewhat of a boring fight, in my opinion, at the 321 event in October as well. So quick turnarounds for both of these gentlemen. I applaud that, especially during the holiday season. And then we're looking at, well, at least for Figueiredo, if I'm not mistaken, Umar is uh, Muslim, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't want to review that right now. We have lost to Marab at 311 back in January of 2025, and then wins over, I mean, just what was that, like a pretty much an 18 fight win streak, with six of those coming in the UFC. So no doubt that he's a contender. No doubt that if he were to bounce back and beat a former champion, um, definitely put him right there in the mix to fight Peter Yan or potentially maybe a rematch with Marab or a high profile fight next for Umar in 2025. Now, I wonder if Figueiredo were to somehow get a dominant win over Umar, could he actually take it? We'll see. Tail of the tape before I forget. 29 Umar to 37 for Figueiredo. 3-inch height advantage for Umar. 5'7" to a 5'4" on the Figueiredo side. 69 inches to 68, so 1 inch height advantage. Man, I'm picking Umar, but I think this is an interesting fight to watch. It's going to be interesting. Can Figueiredo implement a strategy to keep him off of Umar? Can Davison throw some sort of submission attempt or attempts in there and make it interesting? Hey, can he just shock the world and knock him on his ass or stun him. So yeah, that's my recap of UFC 324, as taking a page out of the Nigerian Nightmares playbook, and some more bangers that night. Ricky Tercios, Cameron Smotherman, Denzel Freeman, Josh Hockett, Charles Johnson, Alex Perez, Modestas Bukauskas, I love seeing that name, against Nikita Krylov. Banger. Michael Johnson against Alexander Hernandez. That's an interesting one. Atiba Gautier, oof, against Andre Puliev. That rounds out the rest of the card. I mean, this is a banger. Thank you, Uncle Dana. This is what we needed to kick off a new venture here. So, guys, let me know what you think. Looking forward to recapping some of these fights in January, and hopefully, I can get some more news out there for you guys, the insiders. What's going on in the world of UFC? What do we expect? What's going to happen with some of the victories? Manel Kape, is he positions the Star Boy position to fight Van next? I think that would be insane. I think that that fight can be made relatively quick. That can headline, your 325s, or um, be a part of it at least. And I forgot we got Volkanovski on that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I look forward to pushing out some more content here on Sunrise Sports and MMA. Thanks. See you guys next time.